I told you that I want to go to that festival in Sweden.
No, you said it would be cool to go.
Yeah, and then I got the opportunity and I decided
Look,
to
I
do
don't
it.
mind you going. I just wish you would have told me, that's all.
Dude, she needs a therapist. You've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now.
And don't forget about all of the beautiful Swedish women you'll meet in June.
Okay, guys.
That's not her again. Seriously?
Babe, what's happening? Danny.
I was so very sorry to hear about what happened.
I'm sorry.
I invited Danny to come to Sweden. You know what she's been going through.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Unbelievable.
Welcome and happy Midsummer. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
How long have you two been together?
Just over 3.5 years.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah?
What do you think?
It's like another world.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Is it scary?
What is it?
It has special properties.
What am I going through?
We just need to acclimate.
I don't want to acclimate, I want to go.
Absolutely not.
What's happening? I don't know why you invited us.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know.
We only do this every 90 years. I was most excited for you to come.
Ba-ba-ba-ba. This is year 7. That's right, year 7. This is year 7 of Movie Month. For 30 days, I'll watch 30 movies and do 30 podcasts. It's the 23rd day.
Loneliness is the coat you wear, a deep shade of blue is always there. The sun ain't gonna shine anymore, the moon ain't gonna rise in the sky.
A couple of years ago, in June, I saw a advertisement for a movie that I heard was supposed to be pretty good. So I went by myself to like a 10:45 showing. It might have been even a 9:45 showing in the morning. That has been kind of my thing in the past for movie months when theaters were open, would be going to see movies as early as possible by myself and just kind of, sometimes they were big movies that I've been holding out to see, and sometimes they were just like, well, I want to go see a movie this week, and I'll choose this one. And I chose a movie, was it 2 years ago? Was it 3 years ago? I'm not entirely sure what year it was, but it was a film by writer-director Ari Aster called Hereditary. And when I tell you, I did not know what that movie was going in. I watched it and was impressed and freaked out. Entertained is an odd word choice to use for this, but yeah, I was entertained too. Like, I was kind of just like mesmerized by what I saw, and freaked out, I guess you could say too. And the movie ended, and I'm sitting there, and there's like 5 people in the theater, and I'm probably the youngest person by 30 years, and everyone's just quiet. And I was like, I want to go outside now, because what the hell did I just see? And I should have known. I should have known. And, well, now I do know that basically anything this guy does is going to leave me feeling pretty much that same way every time. But this time I went in knowing that it was going to be freaky. I went in expecting it was going to be like, what the hell am I watching? And yet it still delivered. It still was surprising. I don't know if I want to say surprising, depressing, just like, what the F am I watching? Today I watched the 2019 romantic comedy written and directed by Ari Aster, Midsommar, with an O at the end, Midsommar, which is like the Swedish way of spelling summer. What is this movie? How does one explain this film? Okay, my dog is like really paying attention to a giant bee. I'm getting nervous. I don't want the bee to sting me. Okay. So there's this woman named Danny. She's played by Frances Pugh. Pugh. And this might not be my last Frances Pugh movie this month. Anywho, we kind of just learn a little bit about her through tragedy. You know, she's a young woman. She's dating this guy who is kind of distant, focusing on his college career and his academics. And she has a sister who she can't get in touch with. We come to find out the sister is bipolar, and she's been trying to reach her. She's calling her parents, saying, you know, I got a weird email from Sis saying, you know, just something weird, and I just wanted to check in with you. She mentioned you guys. I just want to make sure everybody's okay. I know it's late. Nobody answers. She's leaving a voicemail. Nobody answers. And the reason nobody answers is because we come to find out that this young woman ran a hose from 2 cars up into her house, directly into her mouth and into her parents' bedroom, committing suicide and killing both her parents in the process. So this girl is left with no family whatsoever and just having to deal with all that depression. And then she's got this boyfriend who kind of is nonchalant, like just non-committal, kind of a dopey boyfriend as far as boyfriends are concerned. Doesn't seem to be fully into it early on, or his friends are like, why don't you just dump her? You don't want to even be in this. What are you doing? You know? You could be with all these other women. You could be impregnating that woman right there, which was an interesting line now that I think about it. Her, right there. You could be impregnating her. That's funny. So, come to find out that these guys are academics, and they are planning a trip to Sweden to go to because one of the friends is from Sweden. Everyone else is, you know, in the U.S., and one of the friends is from Sweden, and they are going to go to Sweden to visit his place of birth. We come to find out he lives on a commune, and the boyfriend didn't even tell her that he was doing this. He's like, oh yeah, I was thinking about it. She's like, well, yeah, we're going in 2 weeks. And then he's like, look, I'm going to invite her. She's not going to come, but I'm going to invite her. But no, she does come. She wants to come. She gets away, and they go on this plane, everyone together, to Sweden to go to visit this guy's kind of place of where he grew up, the Swedish guy. You got 2 guys there who are academics that are focusing. One guy's there going specifically for his thesis. One guy's there going along. That's the boyfriend. We come to find out later that he decided he's going to do his thesis too there because he's inspired. Then we have a friend who seems to just be there to hang out, and the Swedish guy. And the main guy for the thesis, God, I can't remember his name. He's the black guy in the movie. I can't remember the actor's name. but he played Chidi on The Good Place, and really fell in love with this guy as an actor from The Good Place. So just seeing him in something else where he's playing a different character, not completely different. Like this guy isn't, he's an academic in both of them. He's a smart guy in both of them. But in The Good Place, he plays this really buttoned up, nerdy guy. And in this, he seems a little more natural, like a normal guy. So they're all going off to Sweden together. And I guess you could say hilarity ensues from there. Look, you've seen it, right? I'm not talking about this movie if you haven't seen it. Or you're not listening to this movie if I haven't seen it. So I'm talking like you saw it. So let's go. They end up in Sweden, and they all go off to... they drive into just not wilderness, but into just the countryside. And they're like, oh, are we here? He's like, oh, we're almost there. Not yet. So they take a moment to stop and meet one of his friends that he grew up with. He calls him his brother, but they've been best friends since since they were little children. Interesting. I'm starting to make connections. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm starting to make connections. Ooh, this is getting good. He said they were good friends since birth. So I'm realizing now that these guys have grown their whole life there, and this is starting to... it's funny when you hear something, you go, wait a second. And I'll get there. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So they go to this place and meet the friend. And he's got two friends from England that he brought in. That they're like, hey, these are my friends from London. And they, oh, nice to meet you. And they all hang out and they all do mushrooms because they want a trip. Now, our main character, Danny, she's a little apprehensive about everything. She's still really freaking out, upset about her parents, her family just gone. And, she's just apprehensive about things and nervous about things and wasn't expecting to go there and do mushrooms. But she does do them, and she has this, they all trip together. One guy can't tell, doesn't realize that it's not dark, or why isn't it dark? He's making nervous about that. Danny kind of goes for a walk by herself and ends up falling asleep and sees, looks down at her hand and sees flowers growing through her hand, and which I think might have been foreshadowing as well. But it was basically they're there for a trip, they sleep, and then they head off to the main commune. Now, earlier in the movie, the Swedish guy says to her, he talks to her quiet, by himself, and he's like, I apologize. I didn't have a chance to say anything. I'm so sorry about your family. I just, I can't imagine what you're going through because I lost my parents. I can't, and she's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it now. So then later we go where that was just, that leads to something later that I just thought of now. They go to the commune, and really from here on out, it is just a weird level of uncomfortability because you see a lot of people in white robes, and one of the guys even joked, I didn't realize we were stopping in Waco, like this is a cult. Which, guess what? It's pretty much exactly what this is. Some kind of pagan, weird cult that this Ari Aster seems to be into because, even Hereditary had some weird cult attached to it that also dealt with people liking to get naked. This one does too. It is a strange... but the friend is like, everything's so wonderful. This is my family. This is this. And everyone's so friendly and nice and everything. And they go and some really nice, there's a barn with all these beautiful drawings in it and paintings. And they're like, oh, what's this? Oh, these are photos of the May Queen. You'll be here for this. Every year we celebrate, every year, is it? We celebrate a May Queen. And then they're part of, they kind of are swept up and brought into all these rituals. They're never, until the very end, nobody changes their clothes. They're all in the same clothes. They're all in their American clothes. None of them ever get in the weird whites that the cult or the family or the group is. And that helps them stand out more. That actually makes them look even more disconnected. They never said, here, try this, wear this, that's what we wear here. No, they were all their own thing. So, it's just a little weird. There's some weirdness that's happening. Just things look weird. People act weird. People are like, hello, and smiling and hugging weird and smiling at each other and just goofy, like culty stuff. And, they go into this room. It's a big, giant shared room that they all sleep in. And she's like, this is where everyone sleeps. He's like, only the children. He's like, you sleep here until you're 17. No, 18. Then from 18 to 36, you are considered whatever, the next step, and you sleep in this area. Then from 36 to 54, is it something, right? You are considered working. Then from 54 to 72, you are considered elder. And she's like, oh no, what happens at 72? And he looks at her and he runs the finger across the neck like, at that point, you're dead. Jokingly. But he wasn't joking, okay? Because then he says, oh, tomorrow we will have a festival of Anakana, or whatever the hell. I don't know what the hell it was. And the one guy there from the good place who is studying this stuff, who is, trying to learn, trying to write his thesis on this place, he's like, what? Are we really doing that? Is that really a thing? He's like, you'll see tomorrow. And the friend's like, what is it? What is it? And he just smiles. He's like, he doesn't tell them. He just smiles. I don't know if he expected it to happen or what. But the next day, they all get up to go to this ceremony, and they're all sitting outside maybe this is when they have breakfast. They eat. They have a meal, whatever. And two people come out from this temple that no one's allowed in, and they're dressed a little differently. And they do some weird chanting, and they're eating, and they have these looks on their faces, and then they're put in chairs, and then they're carried away. And you're like, oh, those are the two elders. Now, I'm expecting these people are 73 years old. They've reached the end of their days, and just like he said, they're gonna be killed. And I was 1,000,000% correct. But it was how it happened that was like, oh, give me a break. Why do you have to do this? They bring everyone out to this clearing below a cliff, and these two people are brought up to the top of the cliff, and their hands are cut open so they can do some sort of blood ritual on this rock. and this is all very straightforward. And then they go to the woman goes to the edge of the cliff, and she's like, Anima. I know that's from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But she starts chanting something, and then you're looking at, our American people are like watching, like, huh, what's going on? And the first reaction, we don't see the woman jump first. We see Danny grab her boyfriend, and her reaction of, oh my God. Then it cuts to the woman jumping off the cliff. And, in most movies, you see someone jump off the cliff, they disappear off the screen, and then you look at a reaction shot of something, or like the people go, oh my goodness. Instead, no, we watch this woman go all the way to the bottom and hit a rock. And then they show her exploded, mutilated face. I mean, and I'm covering my eyes at this point going, what the F am I watching? And then the old man, he goes to the edge, he's like, now it's my turn. Yippee! And he jumps off, but this guy does a pencil dive. And I'm like, why would you do that? He goes feet first. His legs are smothered. They've turned into, friggin' salsa. And he is lying there going, ah. And then one of the guys walks up in his white robe holding a big wooden mallet, like he's, going to win a prize at the circus. And he goes, oh, the guy's like, rah. He takes the mallet and smashes this guy's face in. And then he gives it to another woman. She's like, my turn. Smash your face in. And they're like, the people are like freaking out, going, oh my God, what is this? We're getting the hell out of here. This is crazy. This is crazy. And then one of the elder women is like, no, this is tradition. You don't understand. We don't live to die old. We give our lives. Now their lives will be given to the younger children or some weird thing like that. And everyone's freaked out, but they try to calm them down, and it seems to work to a point. The academic guy is completely like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm fine. He's writing on his computer. The boyfriend's like, he's kind of like freaked out by this. The guy, the dude was just there to have fun. He missed it all because he went and took a nap. He's like, why didn't you guys wake me? Like, what are you kidding? And then our main character, Danny, she's completely freaked out. She doesn't think she want to stay there anymore. But somehow they kind of talk them back into staying, and they don't leave right away, and things stay around. My God, like there's so much that happens that I kind of lost track of time. Now, it also doesn't help that most of this movie is in broad daylight. I guess in Midsommar in Sweden, there's not much moonlight. There's not much darkness. So this movie's taking place right in front of you. At one point, he brings the British guy around. He's like, would you like to go for a tour? He's like, yeah, are we not going to talk about the bear? And the guy goes, yeah, it's a bear. There's a bear in a cage. And you're like, well, that's coming back later. They show the weird tapestries with weird paintings with weird, like, pubic rituals. I'm like, what am I looking at? I am freaked out. Thank God I watched this movie alone and not, like, with, family or my wife even. I don't even think she'd enjoy this. I don't even know if I enjoyed it. In other words, like, was this enjoyable that I watched? Was it entertaining? I don't know. It was definitely something. I guess it was enjoyable. It was appreciated. I don't know. I'm talking about it. I have a huge smile on my face talking about it. So there's something happened. So, my goodness. So one of the academic guy, he's like, I want to do my thesis. I want to talk to people. He's like, I don't know about this. They don't like. He's like, I won't tell any names or any locations or anything like that. And then the other friend's like, I want to do the thesis too, the boyfriend. And he's like, what are you talking about? He goes, that was my idea. He's like, I know it was your idea, but you wanted to go to this place and other places. I want to focus on just this place. He's like, I can't believe this. Like, you're just a weasel. He is a weasel. And guess what? He is a weasel. He never quite, he's just a weasel throughout the whole thing. He forgot about his Danny's birthday. So at one point, the friend goes up to her and he's like, "Are you okay? Are you doing all right?" And I think this was after the ritual killings, the sacrifice. It's like, "Are you doing okay?" And she's like, I'm okay." He goes, I wanted to give you something," and he gives her a drawing, and it's for this is for your birthday. The other day she goes, "Oh, I'm going to be there during my birthday," and he's like, "Oh, happy birthday, thank you." And now he gave her a drawing of her with flowers in her hair for her birthday. I'm sure I'm out of order with this, but he's like, this is between you and me. Like, he didn't even want to tell the boyfriend about this. Because you see, he seems to be kind of sweet with her. And the boyfriend didn't even remember the birthday. He's like, you didn't even... I forget exactly how it was. But it's like, he didn't remember. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I forgot to remind him. Like, she's making excuses about it. That might have been earlier in the day that I forgot to even remind him my birthday was coming. But here is where he talks to her a little more, and she's really upset. He goes, listen, I understand with everything you've gone through. I have been through it too. I lost my parents in a fire. And when he said that, at the time, it didn't mean anything to me. I thought this guy lost his parents in a fire. He was, somehow brought into this commune. Now, and look, I'm out of order with this movie because you've seen it already. But the way the movie ends, this is telling me this guy was brought up in this commune, has always lived there, and his two parents died in a fire because they died in a fire like this. They were sacrificed like this. I don't know when the sacrifice happens, if it happens all the time, because at one point they said 90 years ago this happened, 90 years from now this will happen, and it's happening now. So I don't know if this is a big ritual that happens every 90 years, but to me, I feel like the dying in a fire was a sacrifice of his parents. That's just what I'm thinking. My goodness gracious, I'm all over the place. So they actually approved them doing the thesis, because it said as long as you don't take any names or any or any locations, you can do your thesis. And they're like, great, thank you. And the guy who's there just to have fun, he's like, I got to go take a leak. He takes a pee on a tree. This tree is a dead tree for the elders. And one guy freaks out. He's like, oh, my ancestors are brought from this tree. You disgrace them. And he's like, I didn't know. And then later they're having dinner. He's like, that guy looks like he wants to kill me. Well, guess what? I think he does. I read trivia, and it turns out that the character who saw the tree is supposed to be the guy who ends up killing this kid. How does he kill him? I'm not entirely sure, but earlier in the movie, the kids are running around. They're like, what are they playing? Oh, they're playing Skin the Fool. Skin the Fool? Yeah, Skin the Fool. This kid was the fool of the movie. At the end of the movie, they have him in a jester hat because he is the fool. And guess what? Oh, they skin him. They took his face off. And this other guy wore it. I'm all over the place, but I don't care. This movie was bonkers, and it leaves me like forgetting what order things happened in. The academic guy goes to this temple that has all these books written in all these runes, and they're like, oh, how do you like, where do these books come from? Oh, they're written by, the various people. This one's written by, and they have this one kid there who is like mentally disabled, like he's deformed. They don't go into him at all. They don't explain him at all, except that he's a product of inbreeding, and all of our prophets or all of our scribes are inbreeding. Like, they do this on purpose, and they kind of pass on, and he just scribbles like finger painting, and they take that and then they transcribe it or translate it into what they think it means, and these books are just filled. Look, he goes like, look, there are blank pages because we keep telling the story, and these books are filled. The whole room is filled with these books, that's interesting. I don't have an answer to a question. So one night, the academic guy's like, all right, I'm going back. Because he's like, can I take a picture of this? He's like, no, you cannot. He's like, I'm so sorry. But he's he has to get this known to the world that he goes and takes his camera phone and sneaks into the room to take a few pictures. And then someone shows up behind him, and he's like, Mark, is that you? Because it's his friend's face, but it's not his friend. It's his friend's face on another man's body. Then someone hammers him in the head. He's dead. We're gone. The other guy's dead. So the two main guys are dead. The next day we go to breakfast, and they're like, "Oh, where are our two friends?" Like, "Oh, I don't know. There's a book missing." And the weasel boyfriend's like, "Look, we don't associate with them. We don't even know why they would do that. We don't agree with them. If they took it, I wouldn't be surprised. Mark wouldn't take it, but Josh, I think that's the names, the academic guys. I could see him doing it, and like, so he's a weasel throwing his friend under the bus. The guy who's doing the same, the guy who basically he stole his thesis idea from. Now he's throwing him under the bus. This dude is a super weasel. And then he's like, okay, if you find anything, let us know. Now, while this is going on, the two British people, the British girl was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. She's like, I want to leave. And they're like, where's my boyfriend? Like, oh, he left already. It's like, what do you mean he left already? Well, the truck only had room for two people, so he left in a hurry, and he wants to send back for you. They're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And it didn't make any sense, and Danny was onto it. The boyfriend couldn't even care less because he's just selfish and nonchalant and always in his own head. Later you hear these weird screams. Everyone hears it. They never explain it. I love that they never explain it because to me, I just assume it's the British girl. And they're like, hey, where is she? And one of the guys is like, I can answer for you. She was very upset, and her boyfriend called her and, told her to meet him. So I took her to the train station. And he's like, okay. So they're gone. They're not gone. So while this is all going on, they're eating breakfast. Things are happening. They're just brought around to different things. So my goodness, where am I? The main girl, Danny, gets to hang out with some of the women, and they're baking things. And at one point, they're eating this breakfast pie, and the boyfriend pulls out a hair, and he's like, "Oh, is that a pube?" One of the guy who he already died. What I talked about, but at this point in the movie, he's still alive. He's like, no, I don't think it's a pube. And he looks at it, and it's like red hair. And he looks down, and there's this girl with red hair who's been eyeing him throughout most of this movie, just giving him little glances. Put a little love totem under his bed. She's been eyeing him, and after the book is stolen, which never comes up again, as far as I can tell, that never gets brought up again. That's the one thing. I'm like, who stole the book? Then did they do that to make it look like they left? It must have been it. They must have said the book was stolen, or pretended the book was stolen, or someone hid the book to make these people not think that their friends were somewhere. I guess. I don't know. Unless I missed it. But they're like, come on, you can go in here and get ready. We're going to do the May dance, and you can go this way. Someone wants to talk to you, the main woman. And he's like, look, I'm sorry about the book. And she goes, listen, Elga has taken interest in you. I know I got the names wrong and everything, but basically the redhead girl has taken interest in her. Now, earlier his friend's like, oh, that's my sister. She is now pants legal. which means she is of age to have baby. And I'm like, what? She looks about 15. I would pray to God the actress isn't that, because we get some kookiness later that I'm like, okay, this is obviously an older woman, young woman. So somehow, at some point, he is brought into a temple with this girl. Oh, he's given. So the girl's doing the maypole dance, right? And it's like whoever wins the maypole dance wins everything. And they give everyone a little tea, which I'm sure has magic mushrooms in it. They end up giving him some tea as well. Maybe his had a little more because he was freaking out about it. So she wins the May dance, okay? She wins this big dance, and then there's a big ceremony. And you can see now, this whole time, she has family that's gone. Her boyfriend barely is paying attention to her. His friends are kind of pricky, except the main Swedish guy who brought them there in the first place, who he's like, we are accepting here. This is a family. This is a family. She's starting to feel accepted. She's starting to feel like there's a family here. Yes, it's freaky, but she's also has this weird feeling of acceptance. And now she's being crowned and being celebrated at the dinner. Now they stand when she stands, and she makes drinks, and it's weird because at one point she's sitting there, and I'm like, what is going on with the flowers in her hair? The flowers in her hair are all moving because she's still on the mushrooms. So while she's on the mushrooms, we're on the mushrooms. We're tripping out, or whatever the strange tea was. We're tripping with her. The boyfriend's tripping. He's like looking around what's going on. They're tripping. So they take her, and they want to bring her on this, they put her on the stand, and they carry her to this wagon, and they put her in this wagon to bring her for a ride. I forget where the ride goes. At the same time, they take the boyfriend and they bring him into this room, and oh, wait a minute, what happens? Oh, they bring him into this room, and then they give him some weird stuff to smell, and it's like for fertility, and like, what? For vitality. They bring him into this church area where all these women are standing around buck naked, or butt naked, either one. And then in the middle is that girl, the redhead girl, naked. She spreads her legs for him. They bring him in. They guide him in down on top of him to bring her a baby, right? And then he starts like trying to do it. And then a woman comes over and starts singing weirdly. So she's singing while this is going on. And my God, I forget what's happening to our main Danny at this point. But she was in in this little wagon, and the wagon had fire, and then they were brought someplace, and I don't remember how she got from there to where she found out. But anyway, she did this ceremony with all this dancing and chanting and stuff, and he's in there having sexual intercourse with this woman, this girl, to bring a baby into her while everyone's chanting and helping her. Like at one point, this woman like pushing his buttocks into her. It was like, what am I seeing here? Like if you didn't take it seriously, like you could almost look like it's very absurd as well. Like I'm like, what is this? This woman's like singing to her, holding the other girl, the girl he's having sex with, looking into his eye, and then he's kind of into it, and she's like, which means finished. I don't know what the word is, but she's like, finish, and he does it, and then she lifts her legs up. She's like, I can feel it. I can feel the baby. He freaks out. He's like, he runs out of the place completely naked. Now, before he does that, she goes over and she's like, what's that chanting? They're like, don't go there. That's not for you. Don't go there. She's like, no, what is that? And she goes over. She takes her headdress off. She's kind of like needs to see what's going on. She looks through a keyhole, a big giant keyhole, and we don't see what she sees, but we know what she sees. And she starts freaking out because her boyfriend's doing it. And she's like, freaking out, like screaming. And all these women get around her and chant with, and like scream with her. And they hug her and hold her and scream with her. It was very weird, but at the same time, it was another way of saying, look, we are here for you. You are one of us. You are the May Queen, or whatever, it's the May Princess, whatever the hell it is. You are with us. You are one of us. And it seems to finally get to that, because then we see this freaking weird ceremony. So they cut. So the guy runs off naked. He freaks out. He runs off naked. He goes in. He hides in this room. He looks around. He sees the British guy dead, strung up with flowers in his eyes. So he never left. He was killed. And then he gets bumped on the head, and he's looking. And I kind of like this visually, where a guy comes over and looks at him and closes both his eyes, and we are his eyes. So he closes one, and half the screen goes blank, and he closes another. And then someone opens his eyes, and he's like, "Oh, good, you're with us? Good." He goes, "You cannot speak, you cannot move." And then they show this ritual where our main hero, Danny, is completely covered in flowers. Now, I thought she was paralyzed, but not. She's just sitting there. But she looks dejected. And the guy, Christian, he is sitting in a wheelchair, and he is completely, like, he can't move, he can't speak, just like they said. So they must have given him something or done something to him to paralyze him. Then they give a speech of every year or not every year, but we choose 9 people must die for this. And, our friend brought 4, our other friend brought 2. Wait a minute, 4, 5, 6. Okay, wait. They brought, 1, 2, 3, 4, even though the girl's princess. So then the other guy brought 2. Then 2 people already died. So we got 2 people already died. The 2 British people are dead. So that's 4. The 2 friends are dead. 5, 6. Then 2 people volunteer. 7, 8. And then the 9th one is chosen by the May Queen, which is her, right? She chooses, isn't that the 9th one gets chosen by her, I think? So all these people stand up there, and they're like, who do you choose? Who do you choose to die, to be sacrificed? They never say who she chooses. Then the next shot, we see the bear. Now, the bear came into play in a couple things. First, we see the scene where there's a bear, and we're like, what is this bear? Why is there a bear in a cage? Then we see Josh is waiting to talk to the woman about having sex with the girl as a mate. And he looks, and there's a drawing, and one of the drawings is a bear on fire. So I thought, oh my God, they're going to sacrifice the bear. Then we see a bear. It looks like it's in a butcher shop, but it's in almost like some kind of shop where, and this older man, the bear is dead on the table and gutted open like it's having an autopsy. And it's like the older man is teaching the children, like apprentice. Like, this is what you do. You take this out. They gut the bear out completely. They take our guy Christian, who's wide awake but can't move or speak, and put him inside the bear's body. So now he looks like a bear man. He's sewed up as a bear man. And then the ritual begins. This is all kind of happening at the same time. They bring the 2 old people who already died. They put them in that temple that no one's allowed in. Then they bring a guy in a jester hat, who's our friend who got skinned, in there as well. And then they bring this woman in there, which had to be the British girl that we didn't see before. They bring her in there as well. Then they bring the 2 guys who are there to sacrifice, and they're just walking in, sit down, and they're like, here, this is from this tree for no pain. This is from this tree for no fear. They give them something that tells them they have no pain or fear. I beg to differ. And then they take our friend, the Mr. Bear Man, Christian, and sit him right in the middle. He can't move. He's sitting there in his bear costume. Then they take these torches, and they light everything on fire. The fire catches. We start seeing people die. The 2 people are alive, looking at each other like, okay, we sacrificed. One of them is screaming his head off, and then they die. And you realize that's probably what happened to this original guy's parents. They sacrificed themselves, right? It has to be. They died in a fire. And then we see the bear burning up in the costume. Bear man burning up as well. And then we cut out to the woman that, she's like running in her flower outfit and looking at the fire and like getting closer. And you think to yourself, oh my God, she's trying to escape. She's trying to freak out, and she stops and she looks and she gets this big smile on her face. And you realize she's not going anywhere. She's found her family. She's going to be there until one day she gets pushed off the cliff as well. She's totally in. She's in this thing. And you realize she was learning Swedish already. She was like, I'm talking Swedish. Maybe she was tripping and doesn't realize she was doing it, but whatever it was, she was talking Swedish. Now, could it be the spirit of one of the elders went into her? I don't know. But she's in the cult. No happy ending, no escape. Basically, you're going to hear on the news that 4 Americans that traveled to Sweden are missing. One of them includes a woman whose family died. Now, that's the story, right? But what I love is the way this director does things. So many things are Nothing's done like you just put a camera there, act, cut, next scene, put a camera there. Like, you're not looking for this, oh, we need the 2-shot, we need coverage, all this shit. Everything is deliberate. So at one point, like, we're looking at actors and we see a reflection of the other actors and they're talking to each other, but the camera doesn't cut back for a while. Like a lot of reflection in this, like two sides to things, or the mirror image of something. I don't know where that falls into the storyline, but we see that in multiple places. Sometimes it's a table reflection. Sometimes it's the mirror in a room. It's just multiple times we see that happen. And then at one point, like, the camera flips upside down, so the road's on the bottom and the sky is on the floor, and it's just, I think, letting you know that you're in for something that's going to, flip your world upside down. It's unsettling. Just every little thing like that. Just the trippiness. The way the trips were happening, where we were kind of going through it as well. Everything was done, like, deliberately. And I just enjoy that about the directing. And in fact, at some points, she's going through people, like walking through people who are like congratulating you. And you see her parents are there. And then she's having dreams and she sees her sister, like, with the hose in her mouth. Now, I read it on trivia on IMDb. I want to go back and see this. At one point, when she's being carried away, you can see off in the distance her sister with the hose hanging out of her mouth. So it's like little trippy little things like that I bet you'd even catch more on the viewing. I feel like these paintings, these tapestries probably told you the story even before you saw it. I like that kind of stuff. So I was like looking at them, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, if I go back and watch again and look at them, I bet you I'm going to say, oh, look at that. That's saying that and that's saying that. Because, yeah, that was some trippiness. And this guy does this. He's stylistic. Where in the last movie, in Hereditary, the woman made these, like, diorama houses, like doll houses, but really fancy kind of models. And while doing that, some of the films, some of the scenes were taking place and looking like doll houses. So he's got a very visual style to him, where that movie was really dark, like physically dark. A lot of stuff happened at night too. This movie was almost all during the daylight, which again I've mentioned, which was a choice and well done. And I don't know what else to say. This movie was trippy dippy. And I definitely am going, what am I watching? What? Oh, like they are showing close up, like very violent close-ups of things. Very graphic, I'd say. I watched it on Amazon. Now, I read that some of it was cut out because it was going to be NC-17. I'm assuming I didn't see the cutout stuff because what I saw was pretty gross or graphic. And I'm wondering what the hell did they leave? Did they cut out if I did see the edited version? But I doubt I did. Yeah, that is it. Check this guy out. I've already forgot his name. Ari Ankin. I don't know. I'm outside right now, so I can't think of it. But just look up Hereditary, look up Midsommar. If you're in for trippy, like, unsettling movies, that's the movie. Like, sometimes you want to watch a movie that you just is unsettling, and that's what this was. With great acting, great performances. Frances Pugh, who's British, and she plays a perfect American in this. And she was just awesome. Awesome. And you felt for her, and then you were like, whoa, she's in on this. I don't know what else to say. Really good movie, because it was unsettling. It was like, I was like, some movies I watch and told my parents, yeah, I think you'd like this. I told my mother, you're not going to watch, you don't want to watch this. You wouldn't like this. I could see them going, this is stupid. Because I could see other people, like people saying this, then when they're not into freaky, trippy stuff, which I guess I am, or I can appreciate it. And I do appreciate it. And I remember this was a while ago, I think, where it was my buddy Chris, again, who recommended, got to see this one. And I think my brother saw it. It was trippy, and this was like months ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got to add it to the list. And it's on the list, and now it's off the list. And I don't know if it's one you could sit around and watch again and again, but it is definitely a rewatchable movie just to see what you missed. Which I think Hereditary might be too. But it's been so many years that I won't even remember what I missed the first time. In other words, I wouldn't even know what I missed. I don't know. I'm rambling now, and I'm done. I'm done, my friends. So I want to thank you. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. The podcast is Geek Mentality. It's available everywhere podcasts are available. On Twitter and Instagram, it's Geek Mentality, all one word. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. The website is fansnotexperts.com. 23 days down, which means we have 8 movies to go. 8 days to go in June. And that's another weird thing. June snuck up on us because, like, spring didn't really happen. Everyone's stuck in the house for most of the time. So June snuck up on me, and now it's almost done, and all of a sudden it's July. Freaking out. It's crazy. I can't believe it. We're almost done with year 7. Unbelievable. We've passed, I think it was a couple days ago, we passed the 200th movie mark, right? Because it's 30 movies a year. 6 years is 180 movies. Then on day 20, we hit 200, and I completely missed it. I completely missed talking about it. So we're over the 200 mark since this whole thing started, which is incredible. I want to thank you guys again for listening and subscribing. I've already mentioned all the places you can find me. So until tomorrow, my friends, it's hot out here. Sure is getting hot in here. I'm going inside. Until tomorrow, I'll see you then. Oh my God, wait. The actress's name is Florence and not Frances. I was wrong the entire time. Okay. Now, here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.